Thank you for joining us once again, everyone. I'm Ron Corning. Forward DFW, together with the Dallas Morning News, are continuing to cover the fallout from the coronavirus pandemic. And today we're focusing on a number of things related to our arts community in Dallas and in the entire Metroplex for that matter. Here's a look at what we'll be talking about. Art means business. Yes, it will have an economic impact if concerts and shows and plays are all canceled. That is money not being infused into the economy from concert goers. Intermission, indefinite for musicians and performers who are no longer taking the stage. How are they going to deal with this downtime? Well, for many, the show goes on, and we'll tell you some interesting ways in which they are continuing to reach their audiences. We want to start here with Mike Oren from the Dallas Morning News. He is the Chief Product Officer. Mike, thank you for joining us. I know that the Dallas Morning News has established a really solid relationship with the arts community, and you understand its value in the area beyond the fact that it entertains people.
Well, absolutely. I mean, even in the most obvious way, what a huge employer that is. And then on top of that, it's part of what makes Dallas Dallas. It's what makes us the city that we are. And obviously, when we don't have performance going on, it can be easy to forget that.
We're going to talk about the Dallas Arts District and how it's become such a center of art and culture in the community, but also an economic engine of sorts for downtown. And I heard Mayor Mike Rawlings say some years back, he really believed that the efforts made by the arts community in Dallas is one of the reasons why companies are able to recruit top talent to move here and live here and come from other places. For people who don't have a real sense of how enriching the arts community here in Dallas is, what would you say?
I would say look at why so many people are moving here. Obviously, people look at the affordability of homes and the great business opportunities, but culture really is a big part of it. I know in the last year, even as we've been building a team of developers for dallasnews.com, I talked to my peers around the country in a lot of other cities, and they said they had trouble finding young talent who wanted to come work at a newspaper, and we've had no trouble at all finding an ace team. And when I sat down and talked with them about why is that, why were they so eager to be here in Dallas, time and time again, it's the culture that comes up. It's the pulse of the city, and the arts really are at the heart of that.
And Chris Heimbaugh is going to join us from AT&T Pac in just a little bit and talk about something that I think is very important, and that is, frankly, a lack of coverage of the arts community by local media. And you've taken a step that I think solidifies your place in the community as a go-to place for people to be able to navigate what's happening with the arts and culture community in the city. And that was by design, correct? I mean, you really did listen to what your readers wanted when it came to the arts.
Yeah, when we first set out to do our site relaunch last year, that was a really big part of what we wanted to do, was to make that functionality connect people with things they wanted to do, not just downtown, but in their neighborhood and all over the city. And we're even kind of rigging that now to serve the arts community in exile, if you will. And actually just starting this afternoon, you're starting to see around our site, instead of canceled events, you're seeing virtual events that are being put on by folks in the arts community, alongside with the restaurants who are also impacted, to let you know who in your neighborhood is open. And we just modified our system quickly to do that, because we know that's what our readers need, and that's what the community needs.
One of your most popular sections is the Friday guide listings, because having been in the local news business here in Dallas myself, I know that research shows that by about Wednesday or Thursday, families want to have a place to go to find out what's happening in their neighborhood, in the Metroplex, when it comes to any number of things, whether it be specials at restaurants, arts, exhibits, concerts, even religious events. All of that is covered in your Friday guide listings. And as you say now, you're sort of switching what that rundown looks like, and nonetheless, there are things happening.
Absolutely. And I would say, look, on our website, if you look at all of the permanent links, the furniture around the site, the tabs, the site tabs that tell you I'm going into the business section or opinion or whatnot, every single week, far and away, the most clicked of all of those is always things to do. And that doesn't change when people are stuck at home. In fact, it's probably even heightened a bit when they're stuck at home. And we want to make sure that there's ways for them to still stay connected with the community, whether it's a musician who's doing a house concert streaming via Venmo, or whether it's the video tours of the Nasher or what have you. We want people to feel like they're still in touch with the local arts community.
Yeah, well, stay on the line here, Mike, as we continue this conversation, because the Dallas Arts District, again, we've talked about what an important part of the arts community that is in Dallas, and it's an area that brings people in for scheduled events, concerts, the opera, Broadway shows, then all the restaurants that support all of those efforts, experimental theater also going on there. It really is such an enriched area. In fact, so many things already planned in the Dallas Arts District for this coming year. Take a look.
The Dallas Arts District, working to enhance the value of the city's creative and economic life. This nonprofit organization is making Texas proud in a big way. By hosting the largest LGBTQ event in downtown Dallas, Pride Block Party.
So there's just an example, and I'm sitting here watching this video and already lamenting the fact that we can't be social in any way that even comes close to this. Lily Weiss is joining us, Executive Director of the Dallas Arts District. And I know for you too, Lily, you probably watched that video as I just did and think those were the days. And our lives have changed so dramatically and so quickly. Have you been able to process it all, and how are you adjusting?
Each week it's a little better, but I am not an isolated person. I think any of us in the arts, we need people, we need the human condition. And I think that's what feeds our souls and keeps us going. The wonderful thing about technology is it's having us recreate ourselves in a medium that we haven't been used to. We've started really involving all of the arts groups online, as Mike referred to.
It's interesting because in some ways, I know collectively you all define this city's arts community, and yet there's a little intra competition there between venues and making sure that everybody can be successful while trying to promote each and every one as unique and different. So is there a different spirit of collaboration rather than competition?
There's a huge spirit of collaboration, and that has gone even in the past 2 weeks when our venues have not been open for business. We are actually talking at least once a week, if not more than that, all of the CEOs, and it goes beyond even our own arts district venues. We've opened that check-in to others because best practices are best practices, and we're all in this together. I haven't seen, and I've been in the arts district since 1978, this has been the most collaborative group of leaders that I've seen in a long, long time.
Boy, I'll tell you, it's remarkable, and perhaps you're so close to it that you don't see it as clearly as others, but the transformation of that area just in the 10 years since I've been in Dallas has been extraordinary. And I know since 1978, looking at old photographs of what that area looked like, reading about the robust arts community that you've helped develop there, that's something to take a lot of pride in. So I guess you've weathered worse, would you say? I mean, this is unlike anything we've ever seen, and yet you've come such a long way. There's no disputing that you'll continue and get through it.
We are strong. Together, we're even stronger. And the arts, I truly believe, are what brings communities together and what helps us celebrate and what also helps us heal. I have to believe that we will come back stronger. We will weather this as much as possible, and we're in it together. Mm-hmm. The Arts District has grown tremendously, and in the last 10 years, you mentioned it, We first started in 1984 when the Dallas Museum of Art opened. And then even most recently, we had Moody Performance Hall and Clyde Warren Park and the Perot Museum of Nature and Science came on all in the same year in 2012. We are a mixed neighborhood with historic buildings and corporations and now over 20 restaurants. And I am just saddened that we're not all there together to see it all happen in this beautiful weather that is about to come and blossom in the spring.
I know. And let's not forget Booker T. Washington, which as arts high schools go is really an example for the country. They're on that campus of the Dallas Arts District, and those students are learning from real artists about what it's like to perform, what it's like to be really in the business of the arts. So many of them turn their experience at Booker T into careers in business related to the arts. Let me ask you this. Where are you getting help from financially to get through this? Is there help from the city? Is part of the stimulus package coming your way?
We are all studying the stimulus package as we speak, and I registered for several webinars. All of us are checking in. We got an email from the city regarding the updates with the federal stimulus plan. The great news is that it does provide for 501c3s and certainly the arts and certainly independent artists. It's not as much as we would have liked to have seen, but it's going to help a bit. We don't know how long this is going to last, so the planning gets to be a little bit difficult. So we have scenario A, B, and C, depending on when we get back into business.
Boy, don't we all. Yeah, you just mapped it out for plan A, B, C, and maybe D, E, and F. We don't really know. Lily Weiss, Executive Director of the Dallas Arts District, been there since 1978. She has spearheaded so much of what you see and enjoy in and around the Dallas Arts District. You can go to dallasartsdistrict.org for more information and ways in which you can help them also get through this very difficult time. You can help in other ways with Forward DFW and the Dallas Morning News by volunteering, and here's how. If you have idle time on your hands, you can use your special gift, your skill set, your superpower. Visit fwddfw.com, click on the volunteer link, sign up to be a neighbor with vomo.org. All right, we are back continuing our conversation about the arts community in Dallas. We've talked about how the restaurant industry is struggling. Many restaurants already have closed. Some 300,000 employees rely on the restaurant industry for their incomes. We've seen some of them being paid through an organization called Makeshift in order to get paid to work at food banks. And now we're talking about the arts community, how they're impacted, how we're impacted by their absence, and the fact that we can't really socialize or really find our weekend groove down in the Dallas Arts District. Chris Heimbaugh's here from AT&T Pac, and I know you work closely, Chris, with Lily Weiss and share with her this sense of sadness that all of this has befallen us and left us looking at a city that is in many ways kind of abandoned.
Well, it is a little empty down in the Arts
really
District right now. Our venues, we have 5 stages at the AT&T Performing Arts Center, and they're all empty, locked up. The security's out there, but that's about it. And I know everybody else out there, they're feeling the same way. So it is a challenge. We are organizations that rely on revenue. The center, 65% of our revenue is from earned revenue tickets, and that's not coming in. But as you noted, many of the arts organizations, we are all trying very hard to keep our most valuable asset, our artists and our staffs, keep them on board right now. And everyone is working through that, but we're looking down the road. How long is this running? We don't know, and that's our challenge.
Yeah. So give me a sense in terms of your performers. So shows are cast. You either have traveling shows that come through, and so they're employed by those traveling show companies, or you're staging original productions and you're casting locally, and those are gigs.
Right. Well, we've got at the center we have 5 resident companies. And they produce their own work. So they have artists on staff.
So they're
everything
on staff.
from costumes to, yeah.
So when I've covered, for example, I think at last count I had done 16 opera simulcasts. Yeah. Those all of that support staff that I've interviewed over the years are on staff.
Right. You've got staff and artists. That means chorus. That means people doing tickets. That mean, across the board there.
Yeah, and concessions and so on.
Exactly.
So far, any layoffs?
No, as far as I know, at least at the center, we have not. My understanding is in the arts district, we've been very fortunate as arts institutions not to have to do what's been happening in New York and Washington. Again, we don't know how long that we're going to be able to keep doing that.
I was going to ask you, how long can you sustain that? You do have a bit of a sense. Lily, in terms of the arts district as a whole, is looking at the stimulus package. You're looking at the stimulus package and trying to determine how much you'll get from that in order to help close that gap. What are you looking at right now?
Well, in the stimulus package, there's a couple of things. There's 75 million that went to the National Endowment for the Arts, and that will be shared among arts organizations around the country. So that's a lot. But we've also have access to small business administration loans. Arts organizations are small businesses. They absolutely are. And in Dallas, just the city of Dallas alone, a $1 billion economic impact. That's 33,000 jobs. So this is an important industry for Dallas. And you talked about retention and job attraction, how we bring companies here. This is so vital to Dallas, and it really defines who we are. So that's important. But you're looking down the road, and let's say all this ban gets lifted in June, which is great. We're already rescheduling shows in May for later. But how soon will audiences feel comfortable coming back and sitting in theater? It's a big question. Museums, there just was some research done. Museums they find that museums, arboretums, zoos, things like that, where you can keep your distance, they're more likely to see a surge in, a return to those habits.
But that shoulder-to-shoulder seating.
Exactly. Everything from movie theaters to concert halls to sports arenas. How soon will people feel comfortable getting back into those kinds of, close contact with people? And we don't know. We think it could be a year.
Yeah, you're drawing on what we haven't quite wrapped our head around, and that is the residual impact this will have. Even if the scientists tell us it's safe, when will we feel safe? And to what degree will we be conditioned to almost social distance even when we don't have to? So you're just taking this as it comes, because the fact of the matter is you can only postpone these shows for so long.
That's right.
And you can only give so much money back before your budget starts to really take a hit.
Well, that's right. We like to view this as an intermission. We want people to just say, we're taking a pause, check out everybody's online offerings, because everybody's doing that. The arts community is working hard to stay engaged, but long-term, no revenue coming in. That means the government support will be absolutely critical, but also our donors. And our donors stepping up and helping us all get through this.
Yeah, you talk about getting 75 million, but really in communicating with other arts organizations in other parts of the country and adding all of that up.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking more like 3 to 4 billion is really the need.
That's what the need is.
That's the
it's
actual
3 to 4
need.
billion.
Yeah.
We're grateful to get the 75 million for the arts, and 300 if you look at a bigger picture of, Smithsonian, humanities, things like that. But for arts alone, it's 75 million, and that's not a lot to spread around across the country.
I want to remind people here, we're talking about the Dallas Arts District, but we don't want to forget smaller theaters. And this,
Absolutely.
Our art community is spread far and
all
wide.
over the city.
And small theaters provide such great entertainment. Katie Rose Watson is among those who's doing some PR and helping them get through this crisis. She represents the Dallas Symphony Orchestra in the Dallas Arts District, which we'll talk about. Lyric Stage, Firehouse Theater, North Texas Performing Arts, Core Theater, Garland Civic Center, and Theater Frisco.
That's right.
Just to name a few.
Teatro Dallas.
Casa Manana.
Salmon Center, Bishop Arts Theater. A wide range of organizations all around our city, and all of those are dark.
She's saying offer special packages. That may be part of it.
Yeah.
Incentives to bring people in. Maybe even if you promise that it's going to be a smaller group of people with some social distancing, even after the ban is lifted, perhaps you'll get people in that
Sure.
way.
We have Straw Square, which is outdoors. I think we may see more people come back to that, because you can kind of put your blanket out and have a little space.
Yeah, so taking into account some of what your concerns are about our social lives post-pandemic, you're going to be adjusting accordingly, hoping to bring people back probably in smaller numbers, hoping to get back on track in a year's time.
We're going to look at every opportunity.
All right, Chris. So if people want to find out more information about their shows, their tickets, et cetera, how to maybe get a credit or hold them for another performance, where can they go?
Well, they can go to attpac.org. They have a lot of options on what they can do with their tickets, including donating them back. This way, those funds, we're a tax-deductible organization, those funds will help keep the center going through this. But of course, you can put it as a credit on your account, or if you'd like, we'll do a refund, of course. But those are a lot of the options that are out there, attpac.org.
When we come back, we'll talk to the CEO and president of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. Thanks to Forward DFW and Baylor Scott and White Health, the Dallas Morning News is providing public health coverage of coronavirus free of charge. Go to dallasnews.com. As Chris Heimbaugh from AT&T told us, performers, artists, musicians are on an intermission of sorts, but as you can see here, they are still offering up virtual performances. The show goes on. It is, however, having an impact on the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, which just recently had planned a big announcement for a 2021 season. Take a look. So an impressive lineup from the Dallas Symphony Orchestra for a season that has now been put on hold indefinitely, postponed. For how long, we're not really sure, and that's what makes this so difficult to gauge and so anxiety-ridden is the uncertainty of it all. Kim Noltemy is the president and CEO of the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, and she is joining us from the beautiful Meyerson Symphony Hall. It's good to see you, Kim, and I know as you watched your announcement there as we played it back for people at home, you had so much to look forward to. And how are you sort of dealing with the emotional impact now of knowing that that season may or may not happen?
Well, we're disappointed to be in this empty hall. Our musicians want nothing more than to be on this stage playing for audiences every day. I would say that we're remaining optimistic that the season will be able to start in September. And obviously we know that we're missing more than a month of concerts now, and it could be longer than that. And we're planning for it to perhaps go into the summertime. But we're doing everything we can to keep the spirits high of the orchestra, the staff, and the visiting artists, of course, are experiencing the same thing around the country.
Yeah.
Because there's many of the same artists perform at various orchestras around the United States and also in Europe. So, clearly they're trapped wherever they were when this all happened. And, there's not much we can all do about that, but we're planning on booking those artists for subsequent seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a relationship with them and we want to keep that relationship strong. One of the biggest challenges for us in April is that we were expecting our music director for 2 weeks, and his name is Fabio Luisi, and we were all excited to hear the music that he had programmed. And also we were going to do our first recording in many years, a live recording here at the Meyerson Symphony Center, and have that released in the fall. So we won't be able to do that now. We also had many events planned with our music director to meet people in the community, and that's been postponed. So that's challenging. On the flip side, our musicians have been absolutely fantastic in working with us to develop online content to put up on our website.
Yeah, we've seen that, and we know that they're doing that in order to really provide, in a way, a service to people. I don't know if they realize it, but it helps us all sort of take our minds off of what's happening if we're holed up at home. But they're not generating revenue by doing that, and yet you've been able so far not to have to lay off any of the staff. When you look at the calendar and you look at the impact this is having, have you been able to quantify how long you'll be able to sustain no layoffs?
Well, we've worked with our board and some generous donors, and obviously we still have some fundraising to do. It's not like we have all the money that we need, but we feel like we can continue on until the fall of September anyway, without layoffs. That's our goal. And I mean, we hope that in the fall we're going to be performing again, and so we're hoping not to have any kind of layoffs at all. And what I said to the musicians today on a call that we had is, what is the Dallas Symphony without the Dallas Symphony? Speaking directly to the musicians, and likewise, we're all working from home right now, trying to ensure that the minute we can start performing, we are ready. We're going to go 120% into having fantastic concerts as soon as we can, and communicating with audiences and doing all the things that we need to do in the interim to stay connected with the audience.
And in the meantime, so people can be informed of what's happening with shows, what their options are for their tickets, we have that information for them. Where can they go to your website to get that information? And are you, like Chris Heimbaugh, hoping that ticket holders, rather than asking for a refund if they're able to afford it, that they rather just hold on to the tickets and wait for a rescheduled or a credit later on for a different show?
Yes, so of course, we're always grateful if anyone is willing to donate their ticket to us for a tax deduction. And then we can exchange their tickets into future performances, whether that's this season or next, as a credit or as an actual exchange. And many people are taking advantage of that right now. I would say our audience is seeming to be more optimistic than some of my colleagues around the country, in hopes that Dallas started work on protecting ourselves early enough that perhaps this will not go on as long as it will in other cities. Who knows? None of us know, but it's nice that people are feeling optimistic about it.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, Kim. We appreciate it. And I think we should leave things here on a note of optimism. Chris, we were talking offline a bit about the uncertainty of all of this, and yet in it is some sense of optimism that maybe in small ways, we can't expect that it's one day we're isolated and the next day we're back to socializing like we're used to. This could be a process.
I think it will be a process, but as you said, we are optimistic. We're hopeful that Dallas got ahead of this quicker than some other cities did, and so maybe the pain won't be quite as much. And in the meantime, we're working to keep our staff. All of us are trying to keep our staffs on board and our artists on board, and continuing to engage in the community with the online performances. We're doing our education programs online. All of us are trying to be creative, and that's the one plus you have here. These are a lot of very creative people, and they're going to find ways to stay engaged with the audiences, continue to provide arts and culture to our community through a challenging time.
Well, we hope you fill the seats. We hope you fill them soon. In the meantime, as this thing plays out and as we learn more about how communities are reacting, I have to say, Dallas, based on what I'm seeing among the people that I socialize with and the friends that I have, we're doing pretty well in making sure that we're keeping our distance and following our guidelines. I know that you've been following them, with the exception of being here today, and we're 6 feet apart, by the way. Gillian is over here 6 feet away. This studio is completely sanitized. So I think we can give ourselves high marks.
Well, let's hope so.
As a city, and let's hope that
I think so.
that it goes the direction we want. Any final words, Gillian?
Let's put this arts and culture community back together, and when we're ready to open these doors, let's embrace the people that we have loved for so many years, and let's get back to living.
Yeah, let's hope there's some major fanfare around so many of these arts communities that at this point are on pause, as we said, an indefinite intermission. Thank
Ron,
you for joining. Yes.
To your point, the arts play a role in healing.
Yes.
And the arts will play a role in healing and bringing our community back together.
That is a perfect way to wrap it up. Thank you for that word of optimism, Chris. And we'll see you next time here with Forward DFW together with the Dallas Morning News. Special thanks to Forward DFW's founding and supporting partners for making this coverage possible. Forward DFW was created in partnership with the Dallas Morning News. The goal? To connect companies, causes, and the community and face issues that impact the economy and wellness of North Texas.